Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. I'm Royce Phillips Jr. and I like to talk about saxophone, musicianship, and philosophy of being a musician. And today we're doing something a little different. I'm reacting to this video of Eddie Barbash, the amazing Eddie Barbash on alto, talking about how he developed his tone. I got this video sent to me by someone on my email list, Mike, and thank you so much for this video recommendation as to why you decided to practice the saxophone, but also wanting to learn this technique of how to do the Johnny Hodges gliss. I just also think that this video is a great lesson on how to develop a good tone, but also just how to develop the tone that you are looking for. Eddie Barbash has a beautiful tone, and there are some jokes and stuff in here, but there are also really great lessons to take away in this one little 2-minute nugget of how to incorporate some of these ideas into developing your tone. But before we get into the video, if you like this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. And also, like I said earlier, I got this video recommended to me by someone on my email list. And if you want to get emails and join my email newsletter, that is down below, where I share a little bit about myself, some tips of the week, my latest YouTube video, and an album of the week to check out. So hopefully you get an album that you've never heard of, or maybe an album that you need to remind yourself of how great that album is. And so let's get to the video and react to Eddie Barbash talking about how to get good tone.
One. What dark rituals do I have to perform to achieve Eddie Barbash's tone?
Oh man, people just love to bring up the, oh man, you must have, what did you do? What did you do to get this tone? There's no way. How do you do this? What is it? Let's see how Eddie replies.
Got to spend about 3 hours a day for a couple years standing in the corner of a room facing the corner, playing one long note after another.
That's a pretty dark look you got there, son.
I like people's reactions to the background. That's pretty dark there, man. That's pretty dark. I also love how they added some effects on his voice and making it sound more demonic. But it really is almost sounds too simple to be true. But Eddie is just kind of laying out, like, what is it that you do to improve your tone? And it is doing the long tones, and that, you know, playing one long note after another. But another tip here he actually gave is playing in a corner. Why would you play in the corner? I don't always do this, but you play in a corner so that you can hear your tone a little better. The saxophone, when you have the saxophone here, you have all these tone holes, and not all of your sound comes out of the bell. It comes out of the tone holes, it comes out of the bell, it's all around. And when you're playing, sometimes if you play against the corner, you can kind of get your sound back to yourself, and it gives you a better ability to hear your tone. And so, but it's just, it really is like, you know, doing the long tones daily for a long period of time. That is kind of the secret. That is kind of the sauce. I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of need to fall in love with long tones and just, and for me, it's almost like a meditation. You play that note. I like to play against a drone, and you have that note, and you try to sit and think about your oral cavity, your embouchure, your breath, and producing that note. And the more you do that consistently every day, your tone will improve over time. And Corey Wong's going to kind of bring something up here as to, you know, maybe it could be something else, right? It can't just be, you know, just doing long tones in the corner, right?
Dark.
That's a dark ritual. But come on, there's some other things.
Turn the light out.
Okay, the horn has something to do with it. The mouthpiece has something to do with it.
Nah.
Yeah.
All right. So here you go. This is the conversation of, it's your equipment. It's your gear, man. And Eddie immediately is like, nah. I think that equipment isn't really going to give you a better tone. It will change the timbre or the quality, not the quality in the sense of it being good or bad, but the style of tone that you will get, right? The classical mouthpiece setup, depending on who you are, it's going to be a Van Doren or a Selmer mouthpiece, with a ligature and a blue box Van Doren reeds. Jazz, hard rubber, or metal, depending on your mouthpiece setup. Like David Sanborn uses a metal mouthpiece. There's going to be a certain type of sound you're going to get on the equipment. Yes, the equipment will affect your sound of your tone, but the quality of if it's good or bad or if it sounds full or not is not going to be dependent on your equipment. And Eddie here is just basically saying, nah, man, that's not it. And it is one of those things where your equipment is going to be the thing that gives the kind of the texture, but it's, you could have all the right equipment. You can have the exact same setup as your favorite saxophone player, and you can be like, why don't I sound like them? It is time on the horn. It is time doing the long tones, time copying them, and Eddie might be saying something like that here soon, but Corey brings up some other good points as well.
Yes, but the hours and the way that Eddie's vibrato works is part of his tone. The volume.
The hours. You brought up the hours. It's not minutes. It's not one day, hours, day in and day out.
Volume that he plays is part of his tone.
So there's the long tones, which if you're an instrumentalist, I'm sure you've heard your teacher talk about.
There it is. He talks about the long tones. He does the long tones. Now, this next little nugget, I think, is a beautiful nugget here that I haven't really thought about, but I have actually kind of been doing lately with my Johnny Hodges series that I've been doing on this channel. I've been talking about Johnny Hodges and his tone and his, we have a bunch of different videos on Johnny Hodges because I'm digging deep into his sound. And here's a really great tip. I'm gonna let me be quiet and let Eddie say his thing.
But my secret that no one told me that I figured out on my own is play your favorite 4 bars of a melody where you can imagine what you want it to sound like and play those 4 bars over and over and over again until you can make them sound exactly how you imagine it. I used to do that with Johnny Hodges' intro on I Got It Bad.
Oh, man.
And when I lived with Joe Saylor, he would laugh because I would play it every day for like a couple hours, just do-do-wee-dee, da-da-da-da.
Give me the.
All right. I mean, I had to let that play a little longer, but this is another great tip of if there's a certain saxophone sound, this is one of the reasons why you want to listen to saxophone players so that you know what a good saxophone tone sounds like, or a tone that you connect with. And he brings up a really, 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 really great tip here. Take 4 bars, play with that record over and over and over and over and over until that sound and your sound become one, right? And it's that repetitiveness of doing it day in and day out. I actually have a story. When I was in high school, I was working with a band director who played the saxophone, and he said what he did one summer during college to really get phrasing, articulation, and tone down he was really influenced by Charlie Parker. He played Confirmation every single day. He played that record, his solo, every single day, that one solo, over and over and over and over again for a whole summer. And he said by the end of that summer, his articulation was down, his phrasing was down, his tone was so much better. And that is kind of the thing. Like, find one recording. And I would say, since we're talking about tone here, and we're talking about Eddie Barbash and his beautiful tone, I would recommend picking a ballad. Picking one of your favorite ballads from whatever saxophone player. Right now, I'm digging deep into Johnny Hodges. We've been talking about Johnny Hodges on this channel. And just take a 4-bar or an 8-bar section, or even then, like, do the whole melody and just try to really match in that tone, really match in that vibrato, really match in that phrasing. And you're not going to get it the first day, you're not going to get it the second day, and just try it. Try it, like, for 1 month. Be like, this 1 month, every single day for 15 minutes, I'm going to play with this recording and try to sound exactly like this saxophone player. And over time, you'll start to think about, well, what if I change my embouchure this way? What if I changed my oral cavity, changed my tongue placing and my throat placing, and how do I do my breath? And in a way, your mind and your body and the horn kind of start to meld into one, and you start figuring out how to get that sound. And so this is kind of the thing. It's just like, it's that consistency day in and day out, having that patience to get that sound. It's not going to happen in 1 4-hour session, or even, you don't even have to do it for 4 hours for, 2 months. 15 minutes, 20 minutes every single day, just that little snippet will take you so far. And we're going to hear a little example here of of Eddie Barbash playing Johnny Hodges.
Vintage, and then give me the bluegrass.
All right. I mean, what a beautiful tone. And just like Corey Wong brought up earlier about dynamics, you think about how he uses certain dynamics to play in a certain sound. There is something to be said. If you really play forceful and really loud, you're going to get a certain type of tone. And if you play a little bit more subtle, you're going to get a different kind of tone. And so that is really the lesson here. And man, it sounds too simple, but the simplicity is where it's at. The more I learn about music and saxophone, the more it's just like, it really is just doing the simple thing consistently over time. That is really the sauce. It's not going to happen in one day. It's not going to happen in 1 week. But if you focus on, let's say 1 month, every day, 10 minutes, I'm going to play these 8 bars of this beautiful ballad of Johnny Hodges, Dave Koz, I don't know, Gerald Albright or Charlie Parker, whoever. And just take those 8 bars and have that diligence of like, am I matching the sound? Am I matching the tone? Am I matching the tuning? And over time, you'll start to see, and record yourself. Record yourself on day 1 and then of playing, and then record yourself on day 30 and see if there's a difference in your tone. Do that. Let me know in the comments how that goes, because I guarantee you will have some sort of improvement. And it's really hard to hear that improvement because you're with yourself every single day. And so it really is that simple. But I want to just play a little bit of this next clip here because he goes into his bluegrass thing, which is, not very common for saxophone, but I love his stuff.
That's the isotope vinyl plug-in for saxophone.
Woo! Man, I love his sound and his playing. But that's the lesson here, is long tones. It's playing with the record and really trying to dig into that sound over and over and over again. And it's that consistency, that daily consistency over time that will accrue, and you will find a way to get the tone that you are looking for. And it is something that you're constantly always being working on, and it always is there to work on. It's never like, oh, I've arrived. You always are working on it. But that is the end of this video. If you enjoy this type of content, or you would like me to react to another video, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I really enjoy talking about this kind of stuff. Eddie Barbash is a great saxophone player, and I love his playing. And leave a like, subscribe, and again, I have that newsletter. So if you want to be on my newsletter, check out that newsletter in the description down below. But take it one day at a time. Consistency over gigantic hours in a day. That's all it is. Simple things, but simple things are sometimes the hardest things. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.